Obviously what happened on the last weekend was a pretty hard time. So just going out there and just proving a point that I'm just a boy trying to play some football, same as the other Indigenous boys. I think just being strong.
That is Jamarra Ugle-Hagan, the 20-year-old's voice crackling with emotion after recounting his own Nicky Winmar moment. It's been 30 years since the original. Lots has changed, lots has not. We're going to get into it in your Friday Fix with Tony Armstrong, plus the weekend forecast for both codes and Soundbites. I'm Patrick Stack. This is ABC Sport Daily. Okay, coming up, we're going to have the weekend forecasts in AFL and NRL, but first we need to talk about Jamarra Ugle-Hagan. To do the talking, we've got Tony Armstrong. He's a busy man. He's found time for us in his car. Tone, in the first quarter of the Dogs' win over the Lions, Jamarra kicked a goal, pulled up his jumper, pointed to his chest. What were you thinking in that moment?
Oh, mate. Well, I guess the week he'd had, right? Like you got to put the whole thing into context. This is a 20-year-old who gets racially vilified in his workplace 5 days before, something like that, at the same place. So he's gone back to a place that obviously doesn't feel safe for him anymore, and then kicks a goal, obviously early, tensions are high. He's had a week where there's been so much scrutiny and intensity put on him due to the acts of, I won't call him a fan, but, you know, a spectator who said some vile crap the weekend before. For him, almost to 30 years to the day, to kick that brilliant goal and then look up to the stands, lift his jumper up. I was sitting at home on the couch, mate, and, like, I'm not speaking in a hyperbolic way here. Like, I was almost brought to tears with pride.
But I think now players are getting sick of it, and we're making a stance and we're pulling them out, we're pointing them out, and we're sorting it out, and everyone's getting behind our back nowadays.
So many of us blackfellas have copped that stuff, but it doesn't make it any easier when you do. And then to see him lift his jumper up, basically saying, you know, I'm black, I'm proud, I'm here, I'm going to stand up.
I felt pretty proud to obviously going out there with all my mates that supported me throughout a tough week, and then to do that in front of everyone, it just hopefully makes a stance in a moment.
It made me really emotional, and then obviously you extrapolate it out. You think about all the kids who might be going to school copping crap from people, or people walking down the street copping a bit of crap. I just know everyone in our community is walking a little bit taller today off the back of, and let's keep this in mind, a 20-year-old doing that. And then, of course, he goes on to kick 5. So he's the difference. Massive, mate. Massive. And just so proud of him in every regard.
Did it feel like a coming-of-age moment to you watching that?
Yeah, I mean, in a kind of sick way. He played almost with this controlled white fury, you know, like a controlled aggression. It was so deliberate, but he was so strong, playing, like hitting packs hard, tackling hard. I think in a perverse way, we might have seen the worst possible impetus help him unlock something inside of him that I hope helps him stay at a level where he can just rip this competition apart.
And Jamarra Ugle-Hagan with one of the moments of the season when he kicked his first. Kicks his 5th to put the exclamation point on it.
If there's one good thing for his career that comes out of it, I think now he'll be able to tap into that. And obviously you don't want anyone to have to go through that, but, you know, we're always looking for silver linings to things. I think that's human nature most of the time, and if there is a silver lining to his on-field career, that could possibly be it.
Is there a part of this, Tony, that's bittersweet, that 3 decades on from Nicky Winmar, another young Indigenous man is having to confront vilification in the most public manner, to put himself out there to do that?
Oh, mate, it's disgusting. We talk about how far we've come. We talk about the path to reconciliation, or whatever you'd like to call it. Like, this is going to be a massive year, obviously, with the referendum, the voice of Parliament. It's going to be a tough year to be a black fella, particularly applying your craft in such a public manner. It makes me a little bit sad to think that 30 years ago, Nicky goes through something, 30 years later, Jamarra goes through the same thing.
It still makes me a bit emotional just talking about it. I probably will for a long time, but I'm glad that, as I said, we've got so much support and everyone's looking after me. Like, I'm going to be better every day.
It's a hard one to swallow, but by the same token, the reason why it is bittersweet is because we see someone deal with it in such an inspiring way. But it sucks. It sucks that a 20-year-old has to deal with that. He should be able to just worry about getting the kick, worrying about being a good person. He shouldn't have to worry about all this other crap.
He's got a lot of people supporting him today. You're one of them. Tony, thanks for talking to us today, mate. We appreciate it.
Stacky, anything for you, mate. You call, I answer. You know that.
I'll hold you to that. And Nicky Winmar provided us this statement regarding Hugo Hagans' actions on Thursday night.
I'm proud of Jamarra for standing up for himself. It's up to the next generation to reinforce the stance I made back in 1993. I'm still here, still involved with the issue, but it's been 30 years now. It's like a big relay race. Time to pass on the baton. I spoke to Luke Beveridge today to thank him for supporting Jamarra Ugle-Hagan and other Indigenous players at the Western Bulldogs. It's a great club that I respect. I was welcomed and felt supported when I played for them in 1999. Things are getting better with increased awareness, and kids are getting educated in schools now about racism in sport and in society, which is great. There's still a few who can't control their negative attitudes. All we can do is keep supporting each other and keep calling it out. Nicky Winmar, still black and proud.
Okay, onto the weekend forecast for the AFL's other games, and these are the three things we think matter most in the remaining fixtures. A clash between two proud Victorian clubs with huge stakes and no shortage of spice. No, not Collingwood Richmond. I'm talking about the Clarko Cup. Alistair Clarkson taking his new team to Tassie. North Melbourne, renewed and resurgent as they face the side he once led, Hawthorn, who are grappling to rebuild a list the Supercoach played a part in constructing.
Alistair Clarkson, his reign at the Kangaroos begins with back-to-back wins.
Last week, some gave Clarkson a hard time for his sideline theatrics in the win against Fremantle. Everyone will be watching here. Number 2, the showdown. Saturday night, there's maybe no better rivalry in the AFL than the SA Hate Fest, and the stakes on this one are huge. Port are fresh off a recruitment drive and find themselves 1-1 with split personality showings in rounds 1 and 2. To get beaten by a rebuilding Adelaide would be diabolical. As for the Crows, they arrive at the showdown winless. They're not favourites, but does Big Brother ever want Little Bro to leave them 0-3? This is big. And number 3, Melbourne and Sydney on Sunday at the MCG. The Swans returning to the G to confront the ghosts of the 2022 Grand Final. Lance Franklin back from suspension. They'll meet a Demon side who were highly fancied pre-season but are 1-1 and have lost captain Max Gawn to injury. I can already see the sharp autumn sunshine strewn across the G as the teams run onto the field. Hey, what's the best of the rest, you ask? A 5-3 Freo taking on West Coast in the Derby, and St Kilda chasing 3 straight on their 150th birthday. Ross can probably blow out the candles on the cake. Flipping to the NRL, we're joined by Channel 9 Rugby League reporter Zac Bailey. Zac, we're leading with the Roosters' big win over Parra. If you needed any more evidence that we're living in a simulation, we got it. Joseph Sua'ali'i, that performance off a back of the week of crazy headlines. What did you see from the rugby-bound NRL star?
Well, firstly, Stacky, he's a teenager, which blows my mind that he's got so much attention at 19. And I guess the big deal this week, $1.6 million a year to go to rugby. A lot of people saying it is on potential. We haven't seen the consistent performances of some of the games greats week in, week out from him. But again, he's 19. He's going to go in a couple of years to rugby. So it all points forwards for rugby. Like, my view, good on him. Go over there, get the money, travel the world playing for the Wallabies in green and gold. A couple of touches of brilliance last night.
They come to the right. Walker, Sua'ali'i, flick past to Barlaw, and that's what was needed to get it done.
If James Tedesco's out next week because of a head knock, then we'll get to see him in the number 1 again, hopefully for the Roosters. So Joseph Sua'ali'i, it's his world at the moment. We're just living in it.
It's not wrong. The Storm and the Bunnies, they're both 2-2. Melbourne own the Bunnies. I think Souths have beaten them 6 times since 1998. Maybe even more interesting is the growing noise about Billy Slater being the Storm's potential preferred candidate to replace veteran coach Craig Bellamy. You spoke to Bellyache about this. Are we eventually going to see Slater back in Melbourne, do you think?
Well, put it this way, like Craig Bellamy said yesterday that if anyone is going to be ready to be an NRL coach, it's Billy Slater. No one would go into that role more prepared.
Everyone knows how well prepared he is for, his commentary, how well prepared he was as a player, how well prepared he's obviously, had his origin teams. Yeah, I couldn't imagine a guy that's never coached NRL being better prepared than Bill.
The big question is, will Billy want to do it? So right now he's got a great mix of commentary, he's the Maroons coach, but he's also got stuff going off field, with horse breeding and all that kind of stuff. So it's a big call for Billy to make, whether he wants to go in, week out. But the one thing I will say is that if he does take the reins, I dare say he'll be pretty successful at it. And the fact that Craig Bellamy is still signed with Melbourne in some capacity for the next, say, 4 or 5 years, he's going to have the best mentors sitting over his left and right shoulder. So I'd love to see it. I'd love to see whether he has, the ability to do it and whether he's going to be successful. But, yeah, again, it's up to Billy. He's got a big call to make.
Speaking of coaching succession plans, it's not going so great at the Tigers, Zach. Tim Sheens, Benji Marshall, they prepare to take on the top-placed Broncos this weekend. Does this Tigers-Broncos fixture feel ominous for West's Tigers fans?
Yeah, 100%. I think they're going to round 2, second game at Leichhardt was saying the same thing. How important is this win for the Tigers? Well, every week it's getting more and more important, but every week there's more and more noise, whether it's about a split between Benji and Tim Sheens, whether it's about bringing in a new halfback in Mitchell Pearce, back from the UK.
It's obvious we've been chasing now for a while a senior half of some sort. The conversation was had. He's not interested. He's on contract. So that's it.
What that means for Luke Brooks, and now they're up against the Broncos, who are flying at the moment under Kevy Walters. They are desperate for a win because the noise around the club is just getting louder and louder. Nothing's working at the moment. It's actually sad because I think everyone feels sorry for them in a way. We want to see the Tigers go well. I'd love to see Luke Brooks have a cracker of a game and the Tigers win, but I can't see it happening. So next week it's going to be Tim Sheens probably having to deal with another drama at the club, talking about rifts with this player or that player or this coach and that coach. So sadly, for Tigers fans, it doesn't look like there's anything good on the horizon. But for journos, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Another gift for you, Zac Bailey. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
All good. Thanks, Ducky.
Time for Soundbites. I know the debutante content is cliched, but it is a cliche for a reason. Here's the moment Melbourne Demons youngster Jacob van Rooyen found out he is playing his first game this weekend.
Just on that, look, obviously it's a really important part every week, so I just want to be absolutely sure as a forward line group we're crystal clear. So if I was asked, not you Sparks, Rui, are you absolutely clear about what we need to do in that role?
Yeah.
Well, that's good, mate, because you're playing Sunday!
Makes you grin, doesn't it? Should AFLW great Daisy Pearce be banned from change rooms in her role as a commentator, given she's also an assistant coach at Geelong? That's been the conversation this week, given 2 clubs have already banned the Channel 7 analyst, and her colleague Matthew Richardson thinks it smacks of double standards.
I think it's a bit over the top,
and why is it different that she's an assistant coach to people on boards or other people? You work at Richmond.
If you're on the
board, what do you do at Richmond?
I do a podcast. So I don't work with the footy department, but I could walk down into the football department, which I don't do. But
so you've got access to Richmond's football department?
You could, yes.
So you could walk down on a Wednesday afternoon and have a chat with Damien Hardwick?
Yep, you could.
Okay, well then you're as conflicted as Daisy is.
That's what I'm saying. I don't see why Daisy's sort of been singled out here. I think it's a bit over the top.
And can someone tell us if Steve Smith is excited to be going to India or if he's been kidnapped?
Namaste, India. I've got some exciting news for you. I'm joining IPL 2023. Yes, that's right. I'm joining an exceptional and passionate team in India.
That was part of his video message around the IPL, which starts this weekend. I'm not sure he blinked during that, so he might be a hostage. Can't be sure. I'm Patrick Stack. This was ABC Sport Daily, produced by Poppy Penny. We hope you're enjoying the Friday Fix. Let us know either way. We're keen to improve. You can find me on the internet. I'm backing you in to track me down if you want it enough. A reminder, you can catch every moment live of the AFL and NRL this weekend via the Listen app. The link is in the show notes. Thanks to 3AW, Steve Smith's Instagram, the Melbourne Demons, and Channel 7 for the extra audio used in this episode.
Hit subscribe for more, or try out the ABC Listen app for thousands of other podcasts, all ad-free.